Hello. Welcome on into another episode of the Whiskey Crusaders. I'm Will.
I'm Sarah.
Not Matt.
Today we're going to be drinking Jack Daniels and their single barrel proof rye.
Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and click that notification bell. Matt, let's hear our little bit of history about this Jack Daniels here.
Jack Daniels single barrel special release Tennessee Whiskey barrel proof rye. Somehow we've never covered Jack Daniels, so we have to give you the history of Jack Daniels, which is really long. So hey, you can listen to me talk for a while. It'd be awesome. All right,
we could skip forward about 3 minutes.
This is probably about right too. Just warning you the fun. All right, so this is Jack Daniels. Of course, it's from Lynchburg, Tennessee, founded by Jasper Newton Daniel, better known as Jack. In the early 1850s, Jack leaves home, moves on, and lives with Reverend Dan Call. Lives on a farm as a farm hand and learns to distill from Reverend Call and a slave named Uncle Nearest, Nathan Green. Nathan Nearest would actually later become the master distiller at Jack Daniels. After the Civil War, Reverend Call decided to give up the business of distilling and become a full-time preacher because his whole town decided you can either be a preacher or distiller, but not both. But, whatever. So Jack never owned any slaves, so that's always a plus. But he was a fire department and always worked with them. And in fact, a Nearest family member has always worked at Jack Daniels ever since. So that's pretty wild. So once Uncle Nearest retired in 1881 and the distiller moved over to the Cave Spring Hollow, his sons, George and Eli, and grandsons, Ott, Jesse, and Charlie continued the family tradition of working at Jack Daniels. All right, 1866, like I said, the distillery moved. Jack was, of course, made the master distiller along with Uncle Nearest. He also purchased the Cave Hollow Spring for $2,900, which back in the day was a ton of freaking money. The reason he did that was because it's extremely pure. Every minute, 800 gallons of pure water come up out of that spring from miles below the earth at a constant 56 degrees, which is pretty awesome. They use the Lincoln County process, which is way before Jack Daniels. But what it is they take the hot maple charcoal, they heat it up to 140, on the proof, drip it through for 3 to 5 days, and what they said what gravity can do within those few days takes 2 years to do in a barrel. So that's the Lincoln County process. Hey, it works, which makes a Tennessee whiskey, but whatever works for them. All right, so one of the things he hates is to make it. They call it the extra blessing, is what they call it at Jack Daniels, rather than the maple charcoal filtering. But hey, whatever works. In 1895, his nephew decided, hey, we need to bottle this so people know it's pure, which is actually kind of cool because it's 2 years before the Bottle and Bond Act. And the reason being is people, add all sorts of crap to it, so they come with the square bottle. So the guy who was selling him the bottles, he went through every freaking bottle. He said, took him all these. As the story goes, he wore out his shoes. He walked and paced so much, so Jack finally made a damn decision. He goes, oh, I finally got out the square. He goes, this is the last damn thing I have. And he whipped out the square bottle. He goes, oh, it's a square bottle for a square shooter and a square whiskey. So that's what's always been in a square bottle. And they will sue the crap out of you if you use their bottle. Ask Lonehound how that's working out, because they're stupid. Anyway, so but it's a true statement. So what it says, he also owned 2 bars, the Red Dong Saloon and the White Rabbit. In fact, he used those when there was a run on the banks. He got everybody to come over to the saloon and keep drinking so they wouldn't take all the money out of the banks. And then there was also a fire, which burned, I guess, apparently half of the town down. Thankfully, not the saloon. He also kept everyone happy while he ran the fire brigade while they were drinking after they put the fires out. So thankfully for Jack, he took care of them. The funny thing about Jack was he was only 5'2", which is pretty shocking. I always figured it was like a huge tall guy, but no, apparently he's a short little dude.
Little hobbit guy like us.
Yes, he's a hobbit. Jack Daniels was a hobbit. It's true. So, of course, in 1904, he comes and helps up in his lumbering wagon up to the St. Louis World's Fair. At the same fair, that's where the hot dog and the Ferris wheel were introduced that for the first time. And, of course, the judges goes around and hands out the whiskey, and they're like, holy crap, this is amazing. From then on, it won 7 gold medals in a row. It's why you see the gold medal on the bottle of Jack Daniels because of that 1904 win. And in 1906, he actually kicked a safe because it wouldn't open and it broke his toe. Well, that didn't work out so well. That actually ended up breaking and causing an infection. He actually died from that. So that sucks.
Wouldn't it be great to live in the early 1900s?
Right?
Yeah, where there was no antibiotics and stuff, and so he died from them.
There was whiskey.
There was whiskey, but that did not apparently work out so well. So and he had no family, so he would get left to a nephew, which was Lem Motlow. Of course, the 1909 Prohibition hit. You know how that worked out, unfortunately, badly. And then, of course, once you get back up and running, there's low on supplies. Took a while. Then 41, the statue of Jack that's in front of the Spring Cave Hollow is still there today. It's when it was erected. And then it shut down, of course, in 44 for the war effort, because obviously the war is more important than whiskey. And then in 1947, a guy named Jackie Gleason. Don't worry, there was plenty of great stories about whiskey and the war rations. We'll talk about that another time, though. So Jackie Gleason introduced this guy named Frank Sinatra, as we all know, to this thing called Jack Daniels. And of course, ever since that day, Frank Sinatra had always had a bottle of Jack or a flask of Jack on him forever. In fact, there's even Sinatra whiskeys now that are made by Jack Daniels that we'll cover at another time. So Jack Daniels has always been heavily influenced in the music scene. After that, they went to the rock and roll, the British Invasion, punk, hair metal bands. But there's always been Jack Daniels along there with them. So apparently there's a steady supply of Jack with all your bands throughout the years. Jeff Arnett, between 2008 and 2020, was the master distiller and helped have a massive expansion at Jack Daniels. And back in October of 2020, the grandson of Frank Boba, who was the master distiller from 66 to 88, took over. So, of course, they made lots of new flavors. They've got, fire, and they've got the apple and peach and vanilla and honey and all sorts of other crap now. But, whatever. So,
and among those releases was also...
Do what?
I said, and among those releases was also... This new...
The thing we actually want to drink. And I think, as most of you guys know on the channel, Jack Daniels is not, obviously great distillery, make a lot of, it's number one, whiskey in the world as far as sales go, but not my favorite. But rye, do like rye. So this is really cool. So this particular rye is 132.7 as a single barrel, which is awesome. This is their special release. All right. So this is the old tradition of when rye was king of America. It's selected from the highest proof. It's the highest Rafters of the Warehouse 1. It is uncut, unfiltered. This particular one is barrel 20-06980. Only 200 barrels were made of this. So it's their newest bash bill since Prohibition. It's their first new one. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It is 70% rye, 18% corn, 12% barley. It is of course, Tennessee. It is charcoal filtered. The barrel entry proof is 125 proof, and it aged between 5 and 7 years. All right, let's see what we think of this bad boy.
And it went from 125 up to 132.
Yeah, 132.7.
That's what I got it written down. Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to lie. The only other Jack Daniel product that I've ever had is the single barrel proof whiskey.
Really? That's all you ever had?
Wow. I have not had any other kind of Jack Daniels. This is a staple in our house.
I don't feel
that's not true. You've had Gentleman Jack. You've tried that.
Like once in the beginning of my journey.
Maybe.
Oh, so, I have lots of their Jack Daniel products. I just don't drink them on a regular basis.
We're not counting Gentleman Jack. I don't remember.
That's fair.
Don't worry, we can solve that.
Ooh,
not overly concerned about that either. These single barrel proof ones, I'm okay.
Delicious.
With. The bourbons, she's been a real big fan of. This is, I want to say, the third bottle.
But is it bourbon or is it Tennessee whiskey?
Nope, sorry, Tennessee whiskey.
Could have that fight all day, but
for real.
They'll fight you on that one. That's for sure.
I know. So, would you call this a rye or a Tennessee whiskey? If it goes to the same process,
it's a Tennessee rye.
Hmm.
That's what the label says. Tennessee rye whiskey. So, and it does go through the maple charcoal filter. So yes, so this is the legal definition of a Tennessee rye.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah. All right, so we got black pepper, anise, coffee, uncooked dough, spearmint, mint, warm leather,
wintergreen,
barrel char, raisins, banana, apricot,
raisins and dates,
chocolate, lots of get some cinnamon now and there, allspice, clove, tobacco, lime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's lime. Yeah, there's lime.
So instead of shoving clove into an orange,
smells amazing.
Put clove into a lime.
Oh wow, it smells so good.
Yeah.
Oh, the best part is it's only like $60. That's another nice thing about this.
Yep.
I mean, so back at
32.7. Come on now.
Yeah,
we haven't said pickle yet.
No, there's no dill on this whatsoever.
At least on the nose.
Not on the nose at all.
None. Oh, it smells amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this glass right here, and the proof is right there on the front of the glass.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are new to high proof,
this is probably not the one for you.
Yeah, go
cut it with some water.
Yeah,
you'll see I'm constantly blowing down in my glass. I'm pushing those vapors out of the glass, so I'm not getting vapors.
Straight alcohol.
Ooh, now vanilla and caramel show up.
Yeah, I got to aerate that.
Oh, shoe polish, furniture varnish. Nice antique shop now.
Yeah, I was about to say the
it's
same
antique
thing.
Old leather.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like when you go to like one of those museums, you know, it's got a whole bunch of old timey stuff in it. It smells like an old museum.
Yes,
Yeah.
like an
Like
old
a log cabin museum, you know, out, you know, what the hell is that? You know, that log cabin museum over there in Fort Worth.
I'm getting like old machinery, like
Yeah, like old farm
you
equipment.
actually have that oil kind of
Old,
like old, really, really old.
I went to this farm up in Door County last year. Yeah, there was a ton of old farm equipment. Yeah, there's a lot what this smells like.
Yep.
Up in a barn. That place was cool. You could pet baby goats. It was fun. And feed them with a bottle.
The only kind of baby goat I want is a fainting goat.
Mm.
Man, that proof's on the palate.
It is, and this is so oily and viscous. The legs on this thing are insane going down the glass. The proof is right up front, and then you hit those notes in the center. The spearmint, the black pepper, the anise, and then it just explodes at the finish.
Yeah.
I know this is from Tennessee, but it's like it's giving you what they call a Kentucky hug.
Mm-hmm.
It is growing.
Yeah, it's
barrel
exploding.
char. Oh, rye.
Yeah, I get
Black
the
pepper.
barrel char
Oh, God.
right on the finished.
I feel like this is a good time to mention if you are drinking higher proof whiskeys than you're typically used to. After you've swallowed your beverage, what I found helps me is I exhale very swiftly through my mouth and try to get all of the alcohol vapors I can out of my system immediately after I swallow. Part of what chokes people up is alcohol vapors expanding in your throat. So if you can start blowing those vapors out of your system immediately after swallowing, it might not choke you up as much.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Molasses, toasted rye, butter, some coriander, some orange, allspice,
Leather, raisins,
bay leaves,
yeah,
cacao, red apple, mint, spearmint.
That's big.
Yes, and lots of furniture polish and shoe polish. Oh,
No
it's like
dill.
now you're going and licking the antique shop. Oh, it's
there's
good.
no dill. I don't get that dill. No, I get all of the spearmint and the
anise.
mint and the anise and the black pepper.
It's amazing. That's considering that's 70% rye. There's
And then
there's no dill whatsoever.
And then almost
5 to 7 years.
There you go. Almost a root beer finish.
Yeah, I'm getting like an A&W root
That's
beer.
the vanilla and probably a little bit of licorice.
Yeah,
because you get licorice on a lot of different root beers, depending on what one.
I like this for $60. Come on,
like a cream soda.
A&W. I'm trying to. It's more like off a tap, like tap root beer.
Okay,
It's like Barks.
Draft.
It's like Barks. It's not A&W.
I don't drink a lot of root beer. I just was throwing a name out there. I apologize for that.
I think like St. Arnold's makes a really good draft root beer. It's like that. It's really tasty. This is freaking phenomenal. This is a fantastic.
This is really good.
I'd buy this for $60. I'd buy a second one for $60.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess the problem being they only made 200 barrels, so hopefully it becomes a regular product.
Hope so. Hope so.
Hope they put more than 200 barrels back 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, that's the question. And especially since, like I said, there's their first new mash bill since Prohibition. It's like he's just an experiment, hoping it works out. So I really hope they have others they just didn't disclose that they have.
That would be wonderful.
It's kind of like the Heritage Barrel, which was also amazing from a few years ago. So 2 years ago? I think so, yeah.
All right.
I like it.
I like it too. Found a rye I like.
I was going to say one of my favorite ryes that I've had this year so far.
Thanks, Jack.
Of course, we're only at the end of January.
So. We're early in the year, but
Hey, early in the year, this was I think was Liquor Hound's Rye of the Year last year. I think so.
I
for a good reason. Right now, this would definitely be the winner at the moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and click that notification bell. And until next time,
Keep on crusading. Better whiskey in your glass. Cheers.
it's good stuff.
Today we're going to be drinking Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof. Nope,
Single barrel proof rye.
that's the one.
It's stupid good.
I like that.
I need a water.